Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video as I'm about to catch X-Men Apocalypse. Ooh, collector cups, and in lieu of pretty much no X-Men Apocalypse merchandise whatsoever, I'm snapping one of these bad boys up. Who do we have on here? The Professor, Magneto, Angel, Quicksilver, yay, and Beast. Alas, no Jean. We just have to settle on lingering on her picture there. Suck in the sweet taste of X-Men Apocalypse, or was it not a sweet taste and did it just plain suck? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. I've had a couple of people ask me to spout my opinions on the movie, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. In case you're wondering, I'm sat here on a park bench overlooking Oban Harbour. Isn't it pretty? Anyway, I'm sure you don't want to gawk at that. You want to be listening to my sweet words, or not, on X-Men Apocalypse. And I will say that Captain America Civil War has set a really high bar this summer. And unfortunately, X-Men Apocalypse comes in limboing a fair distance underneath that bar. I don't think it's even as good as Days of Future Past or First Class. Yet, just because it's not as good as those movies doesn't mean it's terrible by any means. And in fact, if you've read some of the really stinky reviews for the movie, I'd say go watch it and you'll probably find it's a fair bit better than those awful reviews. One review that came to mind was Forbes. They described it as a franchise-ending disaster, and I don't think by any means it's that bad. It's not even the worst X-Men movie, and I think in writing that, Forbes were trying to fan the flames of the MCU fanboys who want the rights to return from Fox to Disney. So X-Men Apocalypse, it's certainly a very meandering movie. I described it as a bit of a roller coaster ride in that it's full of lots of highs and lots of lows. It goes from one scene where you're lapping it up, and then the next scene you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of clunky. So it's very mixed, but there's plenty in there to enjoy. I named my MVPs on Twitter. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, people. Give me a follow. Link in the description beneath this video. But my top 5 MVPs for the movie in terms of characters ascending. 5 is Magneto. Michael Fassbender is just another level of actor. He does the character Magneto justice. I will say, if anything, while he does an amazing acting job, they try and shoehorn too much of a character arc for Magneto into the movie. MVP 4 is Cyclops, played by Ty Sheridan. While it's not a particularly comic accurate Cyclops, I did really enjoy the chemistry he shares with Sophie Turner, who plays Jean Grey, and I think that chemistry is pivotal to the X-Men franchise going forward, hopefully. Third, I would say Apocalypse. He's been much derided on the internet with all the Ivan Ooze memes, but Apocalypse does come across as extraordinarily sinister. No pun intended, spoiler for the post-credits scene. Yeah, he comes across as very sinister in some scenes, and then in others, it's a bit distracting how plastic looking he is. And in fact, that's a criticism of the film as a whole. Some scenes do look really good, the special effects, and then others look like this movie was flung out before they'd finished working on them. And just adding on, something I did like about Apocalypse was that following Batman vs Superman and Captain America vs Iron Man, it was definitely good to have a group of superheroes face a supervillain. How about that? Then coming in at number 2, it's Quicksilver. Evan Peters does an amazing job as Quicksilver. He's just incredibly infectious character. Whenever he's on the screen, my face just lights up with a big smile. They make a definite effort to top his scene from Days of Future Past. I hope he moves forward with whatever Fox do with the franchise. In fact, I kind of wish he would pop up in the MCU. I was hoping in Infinity War, Evan Peters' Quicksilver would come into the Infinity War. This is an idea I have. And it turns out that the Quicksilver in Age of Ultron was just a manifestation of Wanda's reality-altering powers. And in fact, the Quicksilver from Fox's X-Men universe is her actual brother. That'd be cool. No? Disney, Fox, You know where I am if you want any more ideas. Number 1, MVP, and this took me by total surprise. Sophie Turner as Jean Grey. Jean! Obviously she plays Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones, and I love her character in Game of Thrones, but I was very nervous that how much range she has as an actress. Sansa Stark's not a particularly empowered woman, and I feel like Jean Grey's arc is one of empowerment, but she actually nailed it. The climax of the movie, I got the Phoenix feels, you know, goose flesh, hair standing on end. I guess I'll talk about an LVP, least valued player. Is that a thing? I don't know, I've just made it up if it isn't. Jennifer Lawrence. I've come around to a lot of people's way of thinking on her. I don't feel like she was misplaced in Days of Future Past as a comic story. The assassination is Mystique's plan, so it's natural if Jennifer Lawrence is playing Mystique that she be there. I don't feel like Days of Future Past was especially riding the coattails of Jennifer Lawrence's fame from the Hunger Games. X-Men Apocalypse feels a bit more like that. Not that she's that central to the narrative in the way she was with Days of Future Past, but as a character in X-Men Apocalypse, she certainly sucks the fun out of any scene she's in and any character she's with. But the good news is I've heard her contract with Fox is done with X-Men Apocalypse, so hopefully they don't renew that and she can fly off into the MCU, be Captain Marvel and suck the fun out of that movie. I'm walking and talking now, not even just walking, I'm walking downstairs, so if I fall and break my neck while on camera, well, it'll probably be good for views. As to the future of the X-Men franchise now, I say keep James McAvoy as Professor X and move him more into a supporting role, and then focus on the younger X-Men going forward. I think that way Fox's X-Men universe would be a good complement to Disney's MCU, because most of the MCU now is occupied by men in their 40s and 50s. I mean, did you see how old Don Cheadle looked in Civil War? He looked like that giant tortoise that Atreyu crawls on top of in the Never-Ending Story. So I think if they have a younger team, I know they're working on a New Mutants movie as well, I would go that direction if I were them. And of course they've got Deadpool in their back pocket. So I was alerted on my Instagram that Empire Cinemas have their very own limited edition collector cup, different from the one Odeon Cinemas sells, so I've hot-footed it to Empire just to pick the cup up. It's a fancier design, plus it features my MVP Jean. However, unlike Odeon, they don't sell the cups individually, so I'm having to walk out with a big bucket of popcorn too. Anyway, like I said, it's slim pickings when it comes to X-Men Apocalypse merchandise, but if you haven't already, then click this video to see my Empire covers to collect. Please do feel free to share your opinion on X-Men Apocalypse in the comments below, and I'd be really curious to hear your top 5 movie MVPs. And I hope to see you all next time. Bye.